Hi everybody, welcome to another training tip. Now this training tip I want to talk about using what's considered to be a Dos Manos weapon. So in this instant we're going to talk about grabbing the chair. Now obviously we have Brad here and he's playing the attacker. I just want to set up the concept of this and go through some of the tactics obviously. But right now he's using his knife, the weapon he has is the knife. He already has the knife out. Remember there's two types of fights, it's engaged and disengaged. Okay, this is a disengaged combat situation. So he's got the knife, he's posturing, he's threatening. You guys know the routine. Now really it doesn't make a difference. I'm seated right now, so I'm in a chair. Of course, if I saw this situation and he was escalating up the continuum and stuff like that, I wouldn't want to stay seated. Now, from this position, I can do the same ultimate concept, the same tactics that I'm going to use. I could do them from a seated position. The more I want to do is I want to come and kind of talk about what happens when you're standing already. So if I was to stand because I saw the knife and I was blading my body, and obviously I'm kind of using my hands to talk, and because I want to make sure that I have the ability to keep my wrists inside. Now I'm not going to stand up and get into a fighting posture simply, you know, the fight hasn't got to that point yet, and I don't want to just stand up and cue the guy that I'm ready to defend myself. Now he's more mentally aware, he's more prepared for it. So obviously I get up into a position where I'm standing. I want to use my hands because I don't want to be standing out here. I don't want to posture back with the guy. The real thing that I want to talk about is we have a chair right here, the one that I was sitting in. And when you're, again, training in three-dimensional environments, it's important to understand the tactics, the line of angles and all different things. Your footwork is obviously massive, but as I stand and all the pontificating is going, the posturing, you can't get fixated, you can't get tunnel visioned into just focusing on this person. Now there may be lots of opportunities where I have a situation where I'm close enough to him, even though he's got the knife, boom, where I want to bridge in. Just a quick eye shot, and from the eye shot, boom, I'm going to go right into forward pressure. Obviously, we're always armed, so me having my knife on me is another option to pull my knife. Again, I'm looking for a specific tactic on using Dos Manos. So the idea is that if we're in this position, now for a lot of individuals, if he got to that point of no return, that point where he crosses into the crisis phase, he goes physical first. It's a lot of bad things that happen if I let him get to the point where he cycled up and now he lunges in first. If he lunges in and it's action, reactions, and I kind of have that primal flinch response, okay, you know, obviously I've potentially sustained one cut, one stab, maybe that's the end of that fight already because now he's in action, I'm reaction. What a lot of people would do potentially is want to right away move themselves around, so they want to angle and move themselves around the chair, put the chair or the table between them and their opponent. That's a great tactic. What I'm more looking for is by the time you stand up, before you have time to zone and angle your body, so you don't have time to start moving, trying to, you know, negotiate your way out of that a little bit and put something in between you guys, you start seeing the signs of high escalation. The interpersonal communication breaks down. You start seeing the physical signs that he's emotionally distanced and that this thing's about to go physical. For whatever reasons, there could be another one or two guys with him that are behind him that are keyed up as well. So I don't want to go forward into him. What I'm getting at is if you don't have time to go for the chair, but you're situationally aware, you recognize that you have things in the environment that you can put between you and your attacker that'll buy you time. It'll buy you time to get to a primary weapon. Okay, if that's your knife, or depending on what part of the country, and if that's your concealed carry, whatever it is, you need to put some distance to give yourself time to get the weapon. So what I would do in this situation, and what I want to share with you, is a lot of people, and I've seen this in scenarios that we've run over the years, is as this thing goes physical, they're getting caught in a little bit of that reaction dichotomy, but they move, and when they move to grab this chair right here. Now the problem is we actually ran this at speed, and I'm kind of, so again, if I started in a seated position and he's coming up and he's escalated, and I go to stand up, and as I go to stand up, he goes, and as he goes, I go to grab the chair. You see what's happening with that? The problem is that all I cared about was getting that chair. I could just feel it. I need to put something between us. So as I got up and as I'm getting up, he starts to go. It's that critical point. He goes to crisis phase. He engages physically. And so I move and I go to grab the chair. And as I'm grabbing the chair, I'm getting cut. He's already on top of me. That pressure is so fast and intense. And of course, actually, if we're going to do this at speed, and he pushed and put actual pressure on and started stabbing. As he goes and I go, I end up just getting slammed into the wall. As I'm slammed to the wall, I'm getting stabbed and I'm getting cut. The other side is, yes, putting the chair in between you is going to be an effective tactic, but it's to look beyond the thing that's closest to you sometimes. So the chair was here. As that situation happens and I recognize it, so I'm just standing up, he starts to go physical. What I'm going to do is I'm also aware that there's a chair there's a chair there, my egress is there. So instead of going for the chair closest to me, I use what we call towing, using the footwork. I zone, so as he starts to go, I move, and as I move, now if you throw the chair in, great. If you don't throw the chair in, that's fine too, but I get around the chair. Remember, towing the man, using the environment. I know that I'm going to buy a beat in time just by the fact that when he launches his attack, when I move and I zone, he also has to come around this circle, he has to arc around. That gives me the time to move, zone, gain the distance, to grab the other chair. Now I've had time to grab the chair. So from grabbing the chair now I have something that puts space in between us. Again, with the chair, using the dose, it doesn't matter if it's a folding chair or if it's a static chair. Okay? The point is I have something to thrust at him or to thrust at the low line just to buy me the time. It's a transitional weapon. I'm not going to use the chair and start trying to swing the chair at angle 1s and 2s to try to knock the knife out of his hand. It's just to keep him at bay and to buy me a beat. From this, most likely, I would fake high and I would throw the chair low. As I throw the chair low, I would zone and move. Either, again, picking up a bottle that was there, or most likely drawing my knife that was there, accessing that weapon, sometimes even faking high, throwing low in the moment he's off balance, hitting and moving forward and putting in an enter of our own. Okay, so again, the tactic I want to share is just noticing the difference. To really make this work, you can't get, again, fixated on the man. You have to understand the environment. The second that he was starting approaching and already talking, you're already thinking about where you're going to go. Now, you might go forward, but you have to know where your egress is. You have to be able to use the environment. So as I stood up and he went to go, it's just moving around that environment, giving myself time and picking up the chair that's further away. Okay, so I said I could do it from a seated position, just from this position here, again knowing that for most people, I've seen this so many times, the knife comes, they actually move into the threat. And once they're into the threat, why? Because they want this open space with it, so that they can work. They create like a little ring or a little octagon. Okay? For unconventional warfare, you want to use the environment because outgunned, outmanned, and outskilled. You have to level the playing field. From this situation here, again, I would move this way using the table as a bridge. Gives me plenty of time to pick up the Dos Monos weapon. Okay, so just something I thought I'd share with you guys. The Dos Monos weapons, something that's heavy enough that you have to pick up with two hands. When you're using chairs in the environment, don't always get stuck on grabbing the chair that's closest to you. Remember to move and zone. You got to be ahead. You got to think and see your other options in the environment. Use things like the table and the chair that was close to you. Move around that. Draw him with you. It'll give you time to either access a secondary improvised weapon or to access your primary weapon. All right, until next time, take care and come on, man.